Welcome back. It's February 13th, Tuesday, 2018. A few things went on over the weekend that were kind of weird, so I kind of want to do it with a story, but then I want to get this point across first. When I was going over topics and things I should discuss, cyclical topics went over my mind. So in a way to kind of describe that without getting too, boring in that, this is the way I want to describe it. So last year, June 6th, 2017, I began the videos. And the videos, they were a pinnacle of my learning at that given moment, that lesson I currently had at that given time. There was something that I wanted to move forward with. It was like I just reached this weird place of learning all this information that I possibly could learn. I was like in a stagnant position of learning pretty much anything more. It seemed like it was everything in a nutshell for me already to be able to describe and explain things. So I went ahead and started doing the video venture. Had this idea, this proposition in my head, this whole unveiling of sorts that I thought was going to unfold. Well, life lessons come in funny ways because it unfolded in a weird way where it wasn't anything I expected. The videos I gave were beneficial, informational, something to that effect, but in the same breath, they were so lesson learning for me, from my perspective. And it goes to show just how quick they got cut off because of a simple symbol or sign that led me in a path of understanding that kind of made me question of where I was at that very moment. So it made me step back and look into it again. So doing those videos, it went completely on a different tangent than I expected, and it went a complete different direction. Although they were, again, beneficial, learnable, informational tips, it was still not what I expected. So a life lesson unfolded, and it basically presented it to me. I had all this expectation that things were going to go a certain way, things were going to happen, and it didn't happen. So it knocked me down at first, but in the same breath, it was almost like it was all necessary. Like every single part of it was necessary. And that goes for every single encounter you are enduring, is that it's all necessary, good and the bad. You can't just take the good and expect everything to be great all the time, because one of the famous sayings that go, without darkness, you couldn't see the light. So you had to go through the turmoils in order to enjoy the actual bliss of life. And that was kind of where I ended up. I ended up being in a place where I had all these expectations. They didn't work out. I got poor me type attitude. And in reality, it gave me the biggest lesson I could ever ask for. And it was just the fact of knowing of what works, what doesn't work. My own effort, my own role in it, my own participation. It's got me to this point. So to this point where I can feel comfortable talking, even though it's such a weird situation, I can feel comfortable talking about this. So with all that being said, that was my form of my own cycle. You will constantly endure cycles, nonstop, over and over again. They will somehow find their way to you. And it's a matter of you to just understand that it's cyclical. It's from the seasons to your experiences to your emotions. One of the talks that crossed my mind was the fact of how we are both particles and waves. This brings in quantum physics. You have the double slit experiment, or I think it's the double slit experiment. Went into that before, but simultaneously we exist as waves and particles. Now, I am a particle, a collaboration of particles in order for me to exist and have a point of being. But in the same breath, I am both a waveform in order for you to see me, because light is reflecting off of me, and therefore you see the presence that the particles create. With that comes our earthly nature and the way that the sun comes in and the moons come in. We got water tides. Everything is always up and down, back and forth. That's our inner breath. That is how we breathe. We breathe with an in-out type motion. That's life. That's nature. That's your experiences. That's your emotions. That's your efforts. It's both cyclical, up and down, left, right, in, out. Simultaneously, it's what the cross represents. You have your up, down, left, right, front to back. You don't ever get to experience that. But then there's other religions that worship the cube, because the cube is the same thing. It's an example of our reality that we exist in. My personal opinion on some of these topics is that ancient man was a lot more wiser than we give any kind of credit to. And we are only now circling back to a point of what ancient man evidently knew. I mean, it's told in the Bible, it's told in myth, it's told in hand-me-down stories. All the way around, it's evident that there was more knowledge in ancient man's thinking than we give credit for. And we think they were this primitive man. In reality, they were so far above us. They were more advanced than we can understand. So there's one half of it. So if you're enduring any kind of struggle, any kind of torment or pain or frustration, obviously, for one, take it in, because without those experiences, you wouldn't be able to encounter the great experiences and have that great appreciation for them, because you would have nothing to compare to. So when those negative experiences come, understand that they serve a purpose and that they're there for a reason. No matter how hard it may be, no matter how much pain you may be in, no matter how much struggle you think you're going through, they're there for a purpose. They're there for a reason, for you to have a greater appreciation for the greater things that come along in life. So with that, I guess we'll go into like my story of spirit. And I kind of want to clarify so-called spirit. You know, I really want to maybe change that to where it becomes more approachable by saying like superhuman. Because in the long run, although I talk about external forces and spirit in this kind of way, in reality, it's more like a version of you, an experience of you, a something of you that you end up having to tap into. So in reality, it's more like a perfecting of you. You have to be able to experience it by practicing and putting forth the effort. One of my common understandings that I've come to realize through this external force, quote unquote, spirit, whatever you want to consider it, God, angels, aliens, is that we are constantly vibrating on a neutral status. That neutral status, and when I say we, I'm talking about particles. I'm not talking about just humans. I'm talking about everything in our reality. We are all particles, and we all vibrate at a neutral sense. And it's not only until we're given birth to what direction that particle is supposed to go in that determines what comes from that particle. What I'm trying to get to is that if you believe in ghosts, if you believe in aliens, if you believe in God, if you believe in angels, whatever you choose to believe in, devil, satanic, those particles only react to the birthing that you give it. So the creation that your mind creates is what those particles rely on. And without you understanding it, I mean, we're talking quantum entanglement, we're talking a whole lot of other things kind of quantum physics related. But no matter where you are, how you are, what you are constantly emitting a frequency, and that frequency is constantly being received and sent back. It's like a breath in and out. Without that guidance that you determine what that particle is going to be, it just stays neutral and exists in the ether, the air. There is no birthing of any kind of sense of anything. With you giving birth to these ideas and these thoughts, whether it be a God or a Jesus or a Annunaki, Pleiadians, Syrians, it really doesn't matter, because in the end, we all circle back to be the same force, ourselves included. We're part of that whole platform. You can even consider your own self part of that guiding force based off of your mental creation. Your mental is what's creating your outward reality, like whether you like to believe it or not. You choose what you decide to eat. You choose what you decide to do. You choose what preferences you have, what's your favorite, what's your not favorite. You are constantly emitting this environment of control that you're not even aware you're doing. And that's where it stems in, is in beliefs. Your beliefs are manipulating your reality more than you probably are aware of. And based off of those beliefs, you're seeing exactly what you want to see, because it's what you pre-programmed into the particles. I want to get a lot more into it, but that's one thing I want you to be aware of mainly when you're dealing with an external force, spirit, yourself, because it's all one and the same. It's that trifecta. It's that positive, negative, neutral. In every aspect, no matter what direction you go down, there's always going to be a birthing of a new trinity, a new positive, negative, neutral. So if you decide to believe in ghosts, you go down that ghost path. you're going to be confronted with a specific ghost, and it's going to be up to you to believe, is it the ghost? Is it, logically explained? Is it just there? Is it just that's what it is? It's always you, the co-creator, like they talk about in the New Age idea of it, that you're co-creating your universe. Well, even in the form of magic and Aleister Crowley and Order of the Golden Dawn and all these types of platforms, that's the same concept, is you are the magician. You are the creator to your reality that you choose to exist in. And what that all comes back to is perception. I went really off a tangent, but without going too long, I'm going to leave it like that, and then maybe I'm going to upload another video of the story. So thanks for watching. Have a great morning.